They're trussing me up.
Wired for sound.
Why? So, who's going to ask me questions today? Anybody wants to ask questions?
Did you go on the blue bus?
Pardon?
Did you go on the blue bus?
Yeah.
What was that like?
The blue bus journeys Baba did for long many years. It all started in December of 1938. We had just joined Baba's ashram at Meherwan, first of August 1938. And so just 4 months after that, Baba was off on this all India tour in a specially made bus. It was a new Chevrolet bus, and the machinery and the chassis was imported, but the body was built here according to how Baba wanted it to be done. And then it came a spanking new bus early morning of December 1938, and Baba, with all the women in the bus, set off on the journeys. And at that time, I wasn't on the bus because I had a sort of very bad reaction to a homeopathic drug that was being given to me, and I had boils all over my body. So I was left behind at Meherwan, and Baba went off with the women and the rest of my family on these journeys. But later on, when I was well, and then few months later Baba had me called, and then some of the journeys I was with Baba. Not much.
How did you feel when they left without you?
Nothing. I was in a very bad shape at that time. I was small, about 8 years old. So I have no much recollection, but it was what I heard from my brother Erich and my sister Manu and all, that it had come the night before, and Kaka Bharia, one of the Mandli, was preparing to load the bus. Baba had sent all the baggage of the women. There were about, I think, 15 or 20 women packed in that bus. Sometimes there were much more. It had a capacity of 15 people, and there were rows of seats inside. 3 seats on one side, an aisle in the middle, and then 1 seat on this side, a row of seats like that. And Baba, Mera, Mani, they would sit in the first row, and the driver's cabin was blocked because the women were in seclusion. So there were sliding windows, if you've seen it, I don't know. And Baba could slide the window and instruct the driver where to go, and the driver would drive. So that was the seating arrangement. And then in the aisle and on the seats, they were all piled up, the women. Yeah. And lots of baggage up on the top, and there were shelves on the sides. They were all packed, and some of the women would be sitting in the aisle with small stools, which Elizabeth had got for them. At that time, Elizabeth was there, Norina was there, Margaret, and Rano, and many Western women. Yeah, Elaine.
Did Baba tell people where to sit on the bus? Did
Probably.
each person have a
Yeah. At least when we went to see cinema shows, he would do that.
Ah.
Yeah. You sit here, you sit there. And I heard one story where he was doing that in some Western theatre in the West, and somebody at the back said, "Who the hell is this person there? Is he God? Direct all these people to sit where?" Huh?
He was in
Australia. Who the hell is he? They felt disturbed about what Baba was doing, moving them all around here and there at the back. And in exasperation, that fellow was saying, is he God to do all this direction of people?
Meherwan, Manu had said that the youngest ones, which meant she and Meherwan and all, they had to sit on the floor in the aisle.
That's what I said, on small stools.
The
Yes.
stools came later, she said, but
She
the
came
young
later.
ones sat there
Yeah.
while they had them.
On the floor.
And then he directed the seating of the others.
Yeah. So that was how the Blue Bus journey started. And then Baba would go to different places, halt there. We would all be with Baba, and Baba would take the women for sightseeing in this bus only. There was a rear door to the bus. It's still there, and that was specially done. So all the women would start climbing from the back door. I think there was no front door at that time. There's no front door. It was just a single entry from the back, big back door. So they would all go there. And then when it was fully packed, Baba would push the last woman inside and slam the door from outside. Yeah. Taking them first. And I would be out there watching. Baba would take, huh?
So much for that.
What?
So much, so I can just see him slamming the door, so much for that.
Anyway, so then he would go and sit beside the driver and direct them to go places. Yeah. In Bangalore, I would see this site. I wouldn't be taken, so I would remain in the bungalow there all alone. And Baba would take all the women to see various places. Bangalore was a beautiful city when we went there. Yeah. Quite like a garden city. Big gardens and public parks. And so they would go to all these places.
Meherwan, so Baba didn't have you go when he took them sightseeing?
No, sometimes he took. Sometimes he took.
When you were traveling in the bus for a long time, do you remember, were people silent? Were they chatting? Were they singing?
Nothing, quiet. Once I was with Baba I was sitting in the front with Baba on the window seat and Dheeraj driving. We were in Lonavala and Baba had packed the bus with all the women behind and we three were in the front. And Lonavala is on the edge of the hills. Then from there you have to start descending into the valley. That means we are on a high plateau here. Right up from here, right up to Lonavala, it's on a higher level. It's about 2,000 feet. But after Lonavala, there's a drop, and you go down and go keep descending until you reach almost sea level.
Bombay. You come to Bombay.
And then go to Bombay here. Bombay is on the seashore. So it was the road going to Bombay, and Baba had decided to go and visit a powerhouse that was there. It was the first powerhouse that supplied electricity to all of Bombay city and quite a lot of Maharashtra, this western state. And also it provided electricity to the railway line that connects Bombay with Pune. It's a electric traction railway. It's still there. It's the Bombay Pune train service is by electric traction. There are wires overhead and electric locomotives run about on those tracks. Pardon?
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
When Baba died on his last drop, when he closed his eyes, was Mera there with him?
No. Only the men Mangli.
Only the men Murli were Only there. the men.
She was in the next room.
So going back to that story
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
locomotive.
there's the story.
Yeah, so Baba decided to. There was a powerhouse built by the Tata Power Company. It's still there. It's called Tata Hydroelectric Supply, and they had built this power station just at the foot of the hills, and there was a lake very close to Lonavala called the Mulshi Lake, an artificial lake that they had built to collect water at the higher level. And from there they had these huge hydrants about 2 feet or so in diameter, two big pipes running down right from the hill, from the top of the reservoir that was on the top to where the powerhouse was. And with that water falling on the turbines, it would generate power. It's still there. If you go by train, you will see these huge pipes running along the railway lines. Yeah. So Baba decided to go there, and I was seated there in the front, and all the women at the back, and we were going down the mountain pass down to the bottom, and it was a really tough place because there were very sharp curves, all descending with hairpin curves, and the bus had to be taken down in very low gear. So the engine was whining away, and it had to be very controlled descent, because any little slip and you could fall several 100 feet down, and that would be the end of everyone. And Dheeraj had a great responsibility with Baba at one side and the women at the back, driving cautiously. And Baba sitting by my side, and I'm watching carefully here and there. And Baba pats me like this and says, are you worried? I said, no, Baba. He says, relax. Yeah. So that was one time I was traveling with Baba in the blue bus. So we went down and we arrived at the powerhouse, and there they stopped us at the gate. So Dheeraj went and requested the doorkeeper to let us in. They said, no sir, this is very high security area, because it was wartime and such stations were guarded very well by the military and police, because they could sabotage this and it cause a lot of trouble. The whole metropolis would be in darkness, and quite a lot of the area surrounding would be submerged in darkness if that happened. We didn't have many power stations at that time. So it was a very strategic thing. So they said, unless you have a pass, we cannot let you in. So Dheeraj tried his best. He said, no sir, if we do that, we'll lose our job. We are sorry, we can never allow you, unless you have a pass. The Baba says, all right, let's turn around. So back, we climbed back and came back. Yeah. So, but it was a nice journey with Baba. Yeah, that was worth it for me.
Yeah.
But it was a disappointment to the women behind.
Do you remember if you took any snacks out on that journey?
No.
Where did you all travel from, Kaka?
Huh?
Where did you all travel from to go on this picnic? Did you all start from Lonavala?
Lonavala.
Staying in
Yeah.
Lonavala?
We were staying in a big, nice bungalow called Prospect Lodge. I still remember. Yeah. It was a nice, big cottage that Western woman had built for herself, but the whole place was haunted. So, yeah. So the place was lying vacant. She wouldn't occupy it. She had a little outhouse there, that landlady, and she would stay there, but not in the house itself, because there was a ghost there that used to bother her, and she would want to rent it out, but word had leaked out that it was a haunted house, so nobody would occupy it. So Baba wanted a place urgently. When we came to Lonavala first, we had come all the way from Dehradun, and we were there in a nice place elsewhere. But there was some tiff with the landlord there, so Baba decided to vacate that place and asked the Mandali to search another house in very short time. So they had heard about this, so they went and approached the landlady, and she says she was very happy to have somebody occupy and get some money. So she readily agreed, and we all shifted with bag and baggage to that bungalow. And that's how we got that bungalow. Yeah. So we were staying there, And of course the ghost was having a splendid time. Every night it would visit and trouble the inmates. So
Were you afraid of the
no,
ghost?
it wasn't bothering me anyway, but it was after, this, I don't know if you know Baidul family. John Foreman has come with Franny. Now, Franny was the daughter of one of Baidul's daughters, Sarwar. So that family was there with Baba. Sarwar was there, Baidul's wife was there, Soltun, and her other daughter, Daulat. So they would be sleeping on the beds, and every night they would be pulled down and banged on the floor.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then the ghost would go and pull Mehra's hair, Baba's Mehra. Yeah. So this thing was going on there. Every night there would be episodes, and it was getting quite lively in the night. So they would report to Baba, and Baba said, fine. So one day he said, I'm going to sleep here. And the whole house was packed with all the women in there. So Baba then had a bed put on the veranda on one. It had a huge veranda all around. So he slept out there on the veranda. And that night Baba did something. The ghost had come and somehow Baba gave it liberation or what, we don't know. But thereafter it stopped bothering people. So you were there.
See, in those days there were no American tourists. Otherwise that house would never have been empty.
Why?
Because in England, wherever there's a haunted house, it's full of American tourists.
Really?
They all want to stay in haunted houses.
They want to see the ghost.
Yes, they pay extra to go and stay in a haunted house. Really? Yeah, it's true. We have a hotel in Bury St Edmunds, it's called the Priory Hotel, which is haunted. And it is never empty. All through the year, Americans crowd over there hoping to see the ghost.
But the ghost must have run away.
Probably. Did Baba give any details about the ghost? Who or
No.
what or anything?
I don't know, but I think he must have done some work with the fellow.
In the New Life book that Bauji has written recently, that has come out, which I just finished reading, he says to the women Monday that I will release this ghost. So he releases the ghost
Yeah.
from no more.
It's in Lord Meher as well.
Her
It's in
husband,
Lord
It's
New
there.
Life Stories
in
in
the
Lord
hotel book
Uh-huh.
is very specific. And
Okay.
he gives us,
Yeah.
Meherwan says, liberation to the ghosts.
It happened once in the West when Baba was staying in Puerto Rico, There was a big mansion on top of a hill called Alta Chiara. Yeah.
Portofino.
Portofino, not Puerto Rico, I'm sorry. Portofino, in Italy, where Baba had stayed. It's a beautiful place. It's now for auction. Anybody interested?
Whoa.
They want to sell the house for several $1 million, I heard. Whoever has the money.
As
So,
Erich would say, that's the carrot.
hmm?
As Erich would say, that's the carrot.
Yeah.
$7 million.
Carrot?
The bait to attract people, but yeah. So there also there was one ghost, and he used to bother the Mandli when Baba was there. And one night Baba, it seems, got up and rushed out of his room, and Kaka Bharia describes it that Baba rushed out and he the, the mansion had steps leading down to the edge of a cliff, and then there were steps going right down to the seashore or something. And Baba went right down all by himself and then came back up in the dead of night. So, and then he said, I've released this ghost. He did some work. So Baba had
Is the tank up on the hill as well? There was a ghost.
on the
Yes.
yeah, Baba told us not to climb those stairs.
That's why there was a ghost there as well.
Nobody was to go up
It used to
on the winding
and
stairs.
Carmen Masi also. Katie and Carmen Masi
Yeah.
used to be regularly troubled by that one.
Okay. There was one ghost here also in Meherazad. So it used to play a lot of pranks with the mandli. You know, this was in early 1940s, I think. Baba was staying in a cottage in the night. Not here. There was that big house hadn't been built then. So Baba would, in the night, go and sleep in a cottage down the road, approach road. I don't know if you all have seen it. When we go down the approach road, the first turn to the left, it leads to that cottage. And the farmer there, he had built this cottage, and he had built the cottage, but he couldn't finish it. And Baba and Eraj would walk up and down the approach road. Baba would have walks on the approach road. So at that time, Baba would point out and say, wonder what that building is. Why is the man not finishing it? He had built the whole cottage, but he had no money to cover it with the roof, and it was lying unoccupied. So then once or twice Baba mentioned this, and he then said to Eraj, go and find out from the farmer why is he not doing it. So he went. He was a Zoroastrian, that farmer. So he went and met the farmer, and his name was Gyara. So he says, sir, why don't you finish your cottage? So he says, son, I don't have the money and I can't complete it. So he comes and reports to Baba. Baba said, go and tell him, supposing we make the roof, will he allow me to go and stay in the night there while I am here? And that farmer seemed to have a great respect for Baba. He was our neighbor, the only neighbor in the neighborhood. There were no settlements all down the approach road. It was just farms and vacant land. All you see now, it wasn't there. So this farmer was all by himself there. He was living in his old cottage way down in his farm. So when Neeraj goes and tells him that, he said, by all means I will give it, but I have no money. So Neeraj came and reported, and Baba got the roof done, and then he would go every night and stay there in that cottage. It's still there. So every night Baba would be there, and the Mandli used to stay here, and they all had to go and do night watch every night. So every 2 hours a different person had to go. So for the first watch, there would be Krishna, a boy called Krishna. And then he had watch from I think 10 to 12, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then Kakabaria, the manager who was here, he had duties from 2 to 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Then from 4 o'clock to 6, some other Monday. So this was the schedule. So what happened was, Kaka's duty was from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning. Every day he had to get up before time, and he had to get ready so that before 2 o'clock he had to be there to relieve Krishna from his duties. So he had a big Ben alarm clock with him. I don't know if it's available now. It used to be called the Big Ben. And it had a big bell on the top and an alarm. If you set the alarm at a particular time, it went off and it would awaken the most heavy sleeper on earth. A big bell would sound and nobody can remain awake. So Kaka made sure that he got up in time, and as soon as he heard the bell, he would get up and stop the alarm, so not to disturb others. Anyway, so he was there sleeping in his room, and one night he hears a rap on the door, and he was in deep sleep, and he hears Krishna's voice, and he says, "Kaka, wake up! It's time. Why haven't you come?" And Kaka jumps up from his bed, and he says, he sees it's 2 o'clock already. So he just puts on his trousers, and even without buttoning them, he runs out runs there to be at the cottage, to be on time, because he thought he had already exceeded the time. And he goes there, and he rushes there, and he finds Krishna seated outside the steps there, and Krishna shoos him and says, "Stop, what's this?" And poor Kaka is panting. He says, "I'm sorry, I'm late." But Krishna says, "But Kaka, it's not time. It's just 12:30 now." And he says, "What?" At 12:15 or something. And he says, "But didn't you come and call out to me?" And he says, "No, I've been keeping watch here. What made you come here?" "But somebody woke me up exactly as yours." So he says, Go back, don't disturb." So he goes back, and then he sees his clock, and he sees that it's just 12:30 or something. So what that ghost must have done was that it was 10 past 12 when he sort of knocked on the Kaka's door. Kaka wakes up and sees the time. So 12 past 10 looked like 2 o'clock.
Smart ghost.
So that's how tricky that ghost was. And he made Kaka run for his life there. Such pranks he would do.
Did you call Katie also?
Yeah. So he would imitate voices. Yeah.
It's still around, actually.
I don't know, but
Called a Hakama.
yeah. So the Mandli had these experiences.
Well, is there a board to this cottage that when our bus goes, we could see which cottage you are?
It's the first turn from here on the left.
Cannot see
They,
it.
you can't
You
see
can't
it
see it
really
because
from the road.
There is lots of trees
Trees,
growing
yeah.
now.
You have to get
It
down
used to
walk
be
the path.
But at the time it was visible
Yeah.
because there were not many trees.
So where going is to the left.
To the left. First turn to the left.
Out of the gate and then the first door.
Okay.
Doesn't the trust own it now, or
What?
doesn't Meherzad own it now?
Yeah. Not Meherzad, but Falu's family.
The other chances are.
For how long did Baba stay in that cabin?
Oh, quite some time.
Huh.
He used to sleep there.
Was that
And-
the first place he stayed at Meherzad, or?
No, he was.
used to stay over
he
here.
stayed here in some godown.
In the
That,
rice garden.
yeah, in the
Right.
rice godown. Baba lived in all these places. He was also staying in where I stay now. And Erach had a ghost experience there. Erach wouldn't believe in ghosts. Some ghost talk was going on, and Baba was listening to them, and he says to Erach, he says to Erach, do you believe in ghosts? And he says, no, Baba, it's all idle talk. There's no such. Is that so? So Baba said nothing. Then Baba sent him for some errand to Bindra house in Pune. So he came. And that day, as soon as he came, a telegram arrived that come back immediately. So Erach took the first bus back to Nagar and came to Meherzad. And Baba told him that tonight you keep watch outside you keep watch with me in my room. That Erach had to sleep with Baba in the room itself. There was a bed on which Baba was sleeping, and he lay on the floor there. Baba said, you just be with me here. So he laid down there, and round about midnight, Erach was fast asleep, and he said that he felt as if he was being, there was somebody sitting on his chest and trying to throttle him. And Erach was struggling with all his might and turning on in his sleep and trying to throw off somebody. And he just couldn't get the load off it. And somehow he struggled, and with great force he threw whatever was choking him, and he woke up. And then he says that Baba was sitting on the edge of the bed with his feet dangling and laughing. And then Baba says, now do you believe in ghosts? That was a ghost that was trying to bother you, and I wanted you to have the experience. That's why I called you tonight. So that ghost was there, in that room also. All right, now it's time for us to leave. But my boy is asking to sound the bell. So don't have ghost dreams any of you. Jai Baba.
Did you know, Meherwan, in America now, there's a lot of people who are getting very interested in don't get involved in all of that. But it's interesting to me that he did this experience with Edgestone, and Marley did have experience with those. So how just your opinion, asking, why do you think he gave that experience to Marley and at the same time saying to young people, other people in other countries who don't?
They told them
said that the